The mystery of the ancient temple. Alice McKenna landed in Mumbai feeling as if she'd been tossed into a washing machine. India's chaos, colors, and sounds immediately enveloped her like a hot, humid blanket. An ambitious journalist eager to break free from the monotony of local news articles, her assignment, to cover a sustainable development project in the small village of Rampur, seemed like the perfect opportunity. She'd envisioned serene rural landscapes, interviews with locals about their successes, a clean, inspiring story. The reality of Rampur turned out to be quite different. The village, nestled amidst the lush but suffocating jungles of Kerala, was poor but full of quiet dignity. The development project, focused on restoring local water sources, was underway, but the air was thick with something else, an unease bordering on fear. Her attention was immediately drawn to the temple. It stood on a hill above the village, almost swallowed by the greenery, its carved walls blackened by time and humidity. It wasn't a typical vibrant Indian temple, but rather a ruin, breathing ancient history. The locals, usually welcoming, grew silent as soon as it was mentioned. "It is an old temple, madam," an old man named Ravi, whose eyes were filled with wisdom and sorrow, told her. "It is better not to disturb it. It sleeps." Alice, hardened by years of investigations, felt the familiar prick of instinct. Sleeps? That sounded like a cover-up. The rumors she'd gathered were vague but unsettling. A curse, missing people, voices from inside. Her Western skepticism battled with a growing curiosity. She decided her sustainable development story could wait. The next day, despite the cautious warnings of her translator, a young man named Samir, Alice set out for the temple. The path was overgrown, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and unknown flowers. As she approached, she felt the temperature drop. The temple was massive, its entrance adorned with weathered sculptures of deities whose faces were distorted by time. Inside, it was dark and cool. Beams of light pierced through cracks in the roof, illuminating dust dancing in the air and cobwebs hanging like old tapestries. She began taking photos, her camera clicking in the profound silence. She noticed strange symbols on the walls, unlike typical Hindu scriptures. Some were scratched out, as if someone had tried to erase them. In the farthest corner of the temple, she discovered a small altar piled with stones. Behind it was a narrow, almost imperceptible crack. As she tried to clear it, Samir, who had been standing guard at the entrance, sharply exclaimed, "Madam, don't touch that. It is not good." But Alice had already felt a draft from behind the crack. It wasn't just a draft, but a faint yet distinct smell, something that sent shivers down her spine. She pushed the stones aside, revealing a narrow passage leading into darkness. Samir pleaded with her not to go further, his voice trembling with fear. "The locals say this is where people disappear, that it is the curse of the god Kali." Alice hesitated. Her journalistic ethics demanded she pursue the truth, but her self-preservation instinct screamed danger. She turned on her flashlight and, leaving Samir at the entrance, slipped into the passage. The tunnel was short and narrow, the air growing heavier. It led her to a small, natural cave. Her flashlight's beam cut through the darkness, revealing a shocking sight. This was no sanctuary. This was a hideout. Throughout the cave were crates filled with ancient artifacts, delicate bronze statues inlaid with precious stones, ancient manuscripts on palm leaves, gold coins glittering in the flashlight's beam. This wasn't just contraband. It was a collection of priceless historical treasures, likely stolen from other temples and archaeological sites across India. But that wasn't the most horrifying part. In a corner of the cave, covered by a tarp, lay 4 human bodies. Their faces were gaunt, their hands bound. These weren't victims of a curse, but victims of criminal activity, perhaps those who stumbled upon the stash, or those who refused to cooperate. The smell she'd noticed earlier was the smell of death. Alice felt her stomach clench. This was not supernatural, but far more horrific. This was the cold, brutal reality of human greed. The temple's curse was a fabrication to keep locals away, and the disappearances were the work of smugglers. She quickly photographed everything she could, her hands trembling. She needed to get out, to notify the authorities. But as she turned back towards the tunnel, aloud, sharp voice speaking in the local dialect echoed from within. Someone was coming. Alice hid behind one of the crates, her heart pounding wildly. She heard several men enter the cave, their voices gruff and menacing. They spoke of a new shipment and of needing to clean up traces. She realized that her exposure could cost her life. She was trapped deep within an ancient temple that hid not spirits, but a deadly truth. The culture shock had morphed into pure, primal fear. Her story about sustainable development now seemed a distant, naive dream. Now, her only goal was to survive and expose this horrifying secret to the world.